Are you curious about the capabilities of Tesla Superchargers? Can any electric vehicle use these high-powered charging stations, or are they exclusive to Tesla owners? I met a Kia EV6 driver at Extra Services on the M5 recently who was trying to charge at the Tesla Supercharger, and he asked for my help. Another EV driver at Rugby Services on the M6 was equally struggling and asked for assistance. It seems that although we've done previous videos about Tesla Superchargers open to everyone, there are many EV drivers who are still in the dark about who can and who cannot use Tesla Superchargers and how they do it. So with a massively increasing supercharger network available to non-Tesla drivers, now the largest ultra-rapid EV charging network in the UK, let me bring you up to date. I'm Dave, this is Dave Takes It On. I'll give here a quick explanation as to what's happened in the past, is happening now, and how you can operate these different versions of chargers. So if you just want to skip to this and learn just how to find which is which, then just click on the next chapter. But I'm telling you, watching this section will actually help you understand what's going on. Now for me it's easy to forget that I drive a Tesla, and I get and always have had automatic and free access to any Tesla charger anywhere in the whole world. Oh, by the way, free access is not the same as free charging, but many older Tesla drivers, that is, drivers of older Teslas, Model S and X, did indeed get totally free supercharger charging for life. Well, these EVs are highly prized today, as in most cases that free charging actually transfers with the sale of the EV. Well, older Tesla EVs like mine had only a Tesla proprietary socket, very like a Type 2 socket, and early chargers, V1s, V2s, they had Type 2 like plugs to match. But with an eye to the future, the Type 2 chargers also had a CCS2 plug, and the V3 and the V4 chargers today only have a single CCS2 plug. So if you see me using an adapter, it's only because I got a really old car and it's only got a Type 2 socket. There's a 99% certainty that all modern EVs today have a CCS2 socket, so you will never need to use an adapter. Well, two other features of a Tesla EV charging at a Tesla Supercharger are first, the payment and connection method. There's none. Even to this day, we simply plug our car into any supercharger anywhere in the world, and the car, the charger and the Tesla main computer happily chat to each other and then simply switch on the charger at the right time. Then when it's finished, it switches it off, we disconnect it, it then simply takes the money from my chosen payment method stored with Tesla, bank card, credit card, Apple Pay, etc. So all early Tesla chargers did not have or need any screen or contactless payment terminals on the charger, nor did they need an app. Well, since non-Tesla EVs couldn't automatically be connected in the same way to the Tesla computer system, they had no way of starting, stopping or paying for the charging session. Well, second, Tesla very wisely put all their charging sockets in exactly the same location. It's right at the back rear passenger corner, even in America. And so they could install shorter cables on the chargers. So a typical Tesla charger cable, it's only about 2 meters long. Both of these features will be covered a bit more detail later in this video. Well, Tesla in the early days, they're very proprietary. They had no intention of allowing anyone else other than Tesla owners to use their chargers. And indeed, it was one of their selling point features. But events changed. Today, Tesla does allow some of its superchargers to be used by non-Tesla owners. Oh, by the way, I use charger as a term for a single charger station with a plug and a cable, and supercharger as a term for the site location, which includes all the chargers there. But that was not a simple switch where one day they were Tesla only, the next anybody can use them all. That would have allowed a huge number of additional EVs to flood the superchargers, and that would have had a very negative impact on existing Tesla owners trying to use them. So Tesla looked at all of their superchargers and began a process of slowly releasing those that could easily handle the additional traffic without causing any huge queues. As they appeared to cope well in most locations, they continued to release more and more. But even today, not all have been released, and some never will be released, as the spare capacity is just not there. Meanwhile, nearly all new superchargers installed, and there are approaching 1,000 locations now. They're designed from day one to be open to all. But again, there are contractual exceptions. For example, motorway services. The service owner, maybe Moto or Road Chef, for example, might have a contract restriction preventing Tesla opening their superchargers to all, which would be in competition with others they've allowed on the site. These may never be released for legal reasons, so no wonder there is some confusion. So how do you find out which set Tesla superchargers are open to all? It's really easy. First place, go to the Tesla website, tesla.com. Click the charging button or the menu, and then under Supercharger, select Find. This will open up a map instantly, and it's usually centered on America. In the location space, type UK or your chosen location, not forgetting to add UK, as there are similarly named cities in multiple countries. Well, in my case, in response to a comment from Stephen Butler 1, I've chosen Exeter Service Centre. So here is the first mistake many people make. A Tesla service centre is not a motorway services. In Exeter, there are both. There is a Tesla Services Centre and there's also an M5 Moto Services. Both have Tesla Superchargers, but only one of those is open to others. If you click back onto the Supercharger button, which is greyed out in the menu, you'll now see a third supercharger appear, but it looks different. Two of them have the lightning symbol enclosed in double brackets. One has only the lightning symbol. Click on the third one without the brackets and you'll see Exeter Moto Services with 32 superchargers. These are exclusive to Tesla EVs only. By the way, scroll out or enlarge, you actually see the whole of the UK and Europe. You'll be staggered to see just how many open to others there are already, and more are being added every day. You'll also, if you scroll out, see a good number of grey buttons with just the lightning symbol on them. Well, these are future sites that have reached a certain stage of the installation, but they're not yet open. The lightning symbol only does not mean Tesla only. There's no way of knowing at this stage if it will or will not be open to others, but the vast majority will be open to others. Okay, well, that's great if you're at home, but what if you're out driving, you don't have instant access to the internet, and you need to find the nearest Tesla supercharger that is open to others? If you don't have access to the internet to go onto the Tesla website, your best choice is to download the totally free Tesla app. You'll find this in your Apple App Store, your Google Play Store, or whichever store you're using. It's a totally free download. You don't need to own a Tesla, and you don't even need to own an EV to download it. You can just download it and have a look and play around with it. Well, if you click on it, select Install, and it will allow you to access certain features without needing to put in any specific personal details. You do not need to put in a payment method at this point. When you first open the app, it will give you various features to select, but the one that you're going to need is in the top right hand corner. If you click on that one, it will take you onto your own details page, and it will give you the name you've registered under, for example. And if you go down to the bottom of that page, there'll be a charger illustrated which says charge your other EV. Nice and simple. If you click on that one, it will instantly take you to a map showing where you are currently located right now, and it will also highlight the nearest Tesla supercharger that is open to others nearest to your current location. It only ever shows Tesla Superchargers open to others. Underneath the map, there's a place where you can enter all locations if you're not looking for a location which is near where you are. For example, you might be going on holiday and you want to find out if there is a Tesla Supercharger open to others near to your holiday location. And under that, you'll see the Tesla Supercharger open to others that is highlighted, and it will name it. So in my case, if I start off with the extra location, it'll show me there are just 2 superchargers. Automatically, these are open to others, and they'll be listed underneath. So the first one on mine shows Exeter UK Exeter Service Centre. It has 250 kilowatt chargers, 11 out of the 12 are available. It'll give you directions and distance to the charger. If you click on it, it will set your sat nav. It will also show you how many of those are free at this moment in time, because if they're all full, you may not want to go there right now. Well, the other charger showing here is Darts Farm. So just a short distance away, and as I'm looking at it now, Darts Farm is showing it has 5 chargers available, and it shows the distance away and directions. To select one of these, you can either press the red icon on the map for the one that you want, or you can click on the text, the name of the one you want to go to, which is underneath it. Because of the confusion with a Tesla service centre with the motorway services, always have a look at the text of the charger underneath the one you've selected, and it will tell you, in this case it is UK Exeter Service Centre, and it will show you exactly where it is. The map will zoom in on that bit. It will show you, it's changed, it's now 10 out of 12 available, and this is real time, so you can see what's there, and underneath it will tell you about the price and the peak times. You need to know Tesla always charge a different rate at peak times than off-peak times. And Tesla will often have an additional 1, 2 or 3 additional off-peak times, sort of super off-peak and super off-peak, which are even cheaper. So it's entirely up to you. If you're on a road trip and you want to charge right now and it's peak time and you don't mind paying the extra charge, then go charge now. But many people will try to plan their journey so that they can charge off-peak, and it will save them quite a bit of money. For example, at the moment it's showing the peak time is 61 pence and off-peak is 51 pence. So that's 10 pence per kilowatt cheaper if you can go off-peak. And with a typical battery size of 50 kilowatt hours, if you charge for 10p cheaper, that's going to save you £5 on your charging than if you'd done it at peak time. Your choice. Underneath that, you'll see pay less with membership. I'm going to cover this one shortly, so please just ignore this for now, but be aware it's there. Well, the peak time in nearly all cases is just a 4-hour window between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. And all of the rest of the time is off-peak to one degree or another. If you do want to charge here, there's a button down the bottom, big blue button, it says charge here. And when you click on the charge here, it will give you a list of the charges. And at the bottom of these, it says choose your post number. So at the bottom of every Tesla charger, you'll find there's a post number. That's it. It's just down the bottom. It's usually 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B or something like that. So you can see now that you've got Exeter Service Centre, 10 of 12 stalls available, 250 kilowatt chargers are there, open to everyone. Charging fees, 51 pence per kilowatt hour. And then if you're going to use the Tesla app to pay, then that's where your payment method will show. Mine obviously does show here. Oh, hang on. Why does mine show here? I've got a Tesla account. Well, it's really simple. If you look back to when you open the Tesla Charge Your Other EV here, it says charge your other EV at a Tesla Supercharger. So this is expecting me to have arrived and not be in my Tesla. Might be in my wife's, looks like an ID3, for example. And in that case, I would need this payment method. But I'm going to cover payment again in a second. I'm also going to cover membership a little bit later. So you choose whichever one you want. In this case, I can highlight, I'll choose 1B. It lights up to show it's free. and I can then click start charging, and if I was actually plugged in, it would at that point start charging. So it's as simple as that. However, that was going into how to actually use it, but at this point we're looking at how to find the correct charger for you. You cannot, from the app or from the Tesla website, find out which type of charger it is, whether it's a V2, V3 or a V4. You'll not find any V1 chargers around. They've all been either scrapped or upgraded, because these were the very, very early ones installed over 10 years ago. The reason you might want to choose which charger you want to use at a Tesla Supercharger is for how you actually use it. So we're going to now come on to payment method. The early Tesla chargers, the V2 and the V3, have both CCS2 plugs, so you can use them with other EVs which have CCS2 sockets. But the chargers themselves do not have a screen, they do not have any buttons or switches or knobs or dials, and they do not have a payment method. There is no contactless terminal on any of these chargers. The chargers have nothing other than a name and a letter and a number on the front and a cable with a plug on the end. That's it. So if you are in your ID3 or your e-tron or your iPace or your Ioniq 5, you have no method of paying for the charge you want or even of starting that charge. The only way this can be done is via the app. So if you arrive at a V2 or a V3, you have to use the app and you have to enter into your app your chosen payment method. Without this, it's just physically impossible to use a V2 or a V3 charger. If you arrive at a supercharger and the chargers are the V4s, you have a choice. You can use the app again, but the V4s now all have a screen and a contactless terminal. Therefore, if you arrive at a Tesla Supercharger with V4 chargers, you have a choice. Quickest and easiest method is a contactless card, either bank card or credit card. With this, you don't need to use an app at all. You'll arrive, swipe your contactless card, plug in, it will start charging. It's as simple as that. It knows which charger you're using because you've plugged in from it and you've swiped your card at it. So you don't need an app to do it. It also knows your payment method. You've swiped your card, so it doesn't need the app. So by far the simplest method is to pull in, plug in, swipe your contactless, and away you go. That's it. To stop your charging session, you have a multiple choice. On your car, on the main screen, there's usually a charging option to end the charging session. Be aware, some don't have this. If there is one, if you press that, it will usually end the session and should unlock the plug. Session over. With your EV, you'd normally also have an app, and on this app, your EV app, you'll normally have a charging section, and that charging section will normally also give you a push button option to stop the charging session. Stop charging. Press that, it should stop charging, and the plug should unlock. Third method, and you can usually swipe your contactless card once again over the terminal, and that will usually indicate to the charger that you want to stop the charging session. I say usually and normally, and there's going to be a short section at the end how to unlock your car if this doesn't unlock or if there's any problems using one of these methods. Now, if you come across a V2 or V3 supercharger and you want to charge there, you will need to use the app. There's no other way of doing it. However, there comes a complication. There's one additional feature which is part of the Tesla Supercharger network, open to others, and that is a membership. There is no requirement whatsoever to join Tesla membership. It is a paid service. It currently costs £8.99 a month, and all that it does for you is it gives you a cheaper rate whenever you charge there if you have a membership. Does not allow you to get to any extra charges that you can't get to any other way. It will only give you a discount. So you're paying £8.99 a month, and for every charging session you use during that month, you will get a discounted rate. So if you look once again at the extra one, you can see that the off-peak rate for a non-member is 51 pence, and the off-peak rate for a member is 39 pence. So that means you'll have saved 12 pence per kilowatt hour for all of the charging sessions in that particular month. So let me just give you a very quick example if it's worth doing. If you top up your battery by 50 kilowatt hours per session, that's what you're going to take on board, then 50 times 12 pence is £6 saved. But you've paid £8.99. So if you're only ever going to charge once a month, membership is a total complete waste of time and money, because you will pay more in your membership fee than you will save on one session. However, if you charge twice a month, you're going to save £6 on each session, gives you £12 savings, but you've only paid £8.99 for the month. That means you've saved £3 and a penny. Now, obviously, if you're going to charge once a week, that would save you £6 a week. That's £24 a month. That's an absolute no-brainer for becoming a member. Why wouldn't you? Pay £8.99 once, and then every session you can save £6. Now, obviously, there's an additional use, and that's for road trips abroad or in the UK. If you don't normally use the charger more than once a month, but you're going to on this particular road trip, you might be charging 3, 4, 5, even 6 times during a 2-week holiday, then having a membership might well be a really good investment, because you can just join for a single month. No minimum period, no cancellation. You join, you pay. If you don't renew at the end of the month, your membership just cancels automatically. It's gone. So if you're going to go on a road trip, join at the beginning, just before you go away, and you get a month's membership with the discounted rates. The really important thing here is that this applies to every single Tesla Supercharger in the whole world. So if you're going on a European road trip, you can take out a membership for just 1 month. You can travel throughout the whole of the UK and Europe at the discounted rate each supercharger. And be aware that each supercharger might have a slightly different rate, but they'll all be cheaper if you're a member than if you're a non-member, wherever you are in the world. And once again, if you do that for a road trip for Europe and you come back at the end of it, just don't renew at the end of the month. The membership will expire and you're back to the way that you were. If you arrive at a V4 supercharger, I said earlier, you have a choice. You can either use contactless or you can use the app. It's different if you have a membership. If you have a membership, you must use the app. If you use contactless, it will not know that you are a member and it will charge you at the full rate. If you use the app, it will know that you have a membership current at the time and it will automatically charge you at the discounted rate. So if you have a membership, always use the app. Obviously, you have to use it on the V2 and the V3, but if you go to a V4, just remember, use the app again and you'll get your membership discounted rate on that. Now, quick mention here on cable length, which I did refer to earlier. Because Tesla cars always have the charging point in exactly the same location, it's right in the rear corner on the passenger side, the cable length is deliberately rather short. It's less than 2 meters long. And that means even with a Tesla, you do need to reverse right the way up. If it's got bump stops, go up to them. If it's not, get as close to the charger as you can to make sure that the cable will reach on your Tesla. Well, if you have a non-Tesla and your charger port is anywhere else, this will give you a challenge. If the charger port in your non-Tesla EV is in the front driver side quarter or in the very front of the car in the middle, you can usually pull in really close as you can forwards into the charger bay and your cable will reach. However, if your charger port is on the front passenger side or the driver's rear side, then it's not going to reach. And the only method here is to use 2 bays. So this is something I would definitely not advise you to use at peak time, because you will block one bay totally and be using the other, and that will not allow anyone else to use that bay. The only method for charging, if your charging port is on the front passenger side or the driver's rear side, is to pull into the one bay and plug your car in to the only cable that will reach. So for example, if you pull in forwards into one bay, the charger for that bay is on the right hand side, that won't reach. But the charger in the next bay, that will have a short cable that will reach really easily. So what you would do in that case is to pull into one bay and use the charger cable from the next bay. So you see why you're now using two bays. Similarly, if you reverse in, exactly the same applies. So you will always park in one bay and you will always have to take the cable out of the next bay to be able to charge your car. It is the only way of doing it. It's perfectly permitted. However, once again, I would stress, try to avoid doing this at peak time if you can, because if 3 or 4 cars are plugged in simultaneously and all of them are taking up 2 bays, this can block an awful lot of the supercharger location. Please try and have some consideration for others and only use these if possible when it's quiet and off peak. Well, because your car has a different software system to the Tesla software system, there are occasionally problems with communication. As these arise, they are being tackled as fast as they can, but there's often one party to blame who's holding up the whole procedure. So for example, if you report an issue to Tesla, Tesla may need to get a change authorized by your car's operating system, and that might not be as forthcoming as quickly as Tesla would like, and vice versa. So it's very important, if you do encounter any sort of an issue, any sort whatsoever, please make sure that you report it. It must be reported. If you drive away, it will just leave the problem there for the next user to discover. On the Tesla app, you'll find there's a phone number. On the Tesla website, you'll find there's a phone number. And often at the Supercharger location, you will also find a phone number to ask for assistance. So please, I stress again, if you have an issue, please report it. One of the issues I've discovered on 2 occasions now is where it's not possible to stop a charge until it reaches 100%. So in these cases, it's strange. You have an LFP battery. A lot of people get into the habit of charging to 100% every time. While this is perfectly fine, it's not the best thing to do. It is perfectly acceptable. And the issues I discovered on 2 occasions is where somebody plugged in their car at a non-Tesla car to a Tesla Supercharger, and the car was set to 100% state of charge, but they decided once they'd started charging, they didn't want to stay for that long. They wanted to stop the charge early and drive off. And they tried to stop the charging session early. And on both of the occasions, on one of these I actually filmed it with the permission of the customer, they found it was not possible to stop the charging session once it had started. I can't stop it early. In both cases, as soon as the session reached 100%, both of them stopped charging, released the plug, absolutely no problem. It was only that they wanted to cut the session short and they found a problem. Therefore, before you plug in, if you're only doing a short top-up charge, I personally would always set that level at the state of charge before I plugged in, just to be safe. You can always increase it afterwards. So in both of these cases, I encountered, I'll say one of them I filmed, as soon as they got to the required state of charge, they did quit charging session, and they did unplug. And one of them, I have to say, they charged previously, a few minutes earlier. I met them at another charging station where I was filming. They used the V4 with the app. And they found with the app, the car released perfectly, because from the app, you can switch the charger off anytime you want to at all. But on their app, on the car app, they didn't have that function. So another bit of advice, if you are not wanting to charge 100%, then maybe use the app. Now, most EVs have a manual release. This will be a cable or a switch or something inside the car, which will allow you to switch it off or pull the cable to release the plug. Be aware, some EVs do not have this. And be aware that most EVs, and this is not just Teslas, most EV chargers do not have an emergency stop button any longer. So if you are using the contactless on the V4 or the non-Tesla car, I'd always think about what state of charge you want to go to, set that on the car before you start. The car will stop and release the state of charge. Well, I hope you've actually learned something from this and maybe enjoyed listening to some of the stories behind why it's not such a simple issue. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. I would welcome comments of any people who've experienced any sort of issues of any sort at any charger with any EV. It all helps me able to pass the information on to others to help them. And also I do have contact with Tesla and the Supercharger engineers, and I can discuss some of these issues directly with them. So thank you very much for watching. I'm Dave. If you have enjoyed this, please click the like button. If you'd like to see more, please click the subscribe button. It makes a really big difference to a channel like ours. Thanks very much. I'm Dave.